The the biggest the biggest hurdle that we as technical people face is that the technical aspects are so involved and require so much training that we lose sight of the first principles of diagnosis, treatment planning, goal setting, and looking for curative measures. We spent the first part of our studies learning about the basic sciences. And although that just seemed like a complete waste of time, just a hurdle that we had to jump to get into the how do we put the injection in, how do we drill the cavity, how do we fill it, right? The reality is, after we've learned how to do these things, after we've spent decades like you and me, we've realized that production line is never ending because no one is stopping the damage from occurring in the first place. And as you said, if we look back at the basic sciences, at cell biology, at physiology, the answers are there. We're dealing with lifestyle, long-term impacts. And if we don't step back and step back and step back and look at it from a bigger perspective, we will always be putting out fires that are never ending. It is
I
our mission. It is the point of our lives is to help spread the understanding that apart from the technical components to it, we actually have to learn to understand the root causes. And going back to the very, very basic sciences, we already have the answers. The stresses that children are put through today are completely different to the stresses that we as a species were subject to. Because of the change in these modern day stresses, we're dealing with modern day diseases that were never ever part of the evolutionary protective mechanisms. So hopefully you've got a few insights and answers for people to start to see from the taking away from the macro and bringing it down to the micro, and then conversely the opposite side as well. Understanding the micro so that we can deal with the macro.
in the micro is oxidative stress. People need to learn and master that. Look at, I know enough to be dangerous. I got caught by this about 4 months ago, and now I'm invited into two large government grants because of this hypothesis that these children are undergoing intermittent, temporary, transient, sometimes chronic and long term. We have to, but that's what's going on at a molecular level. Simon, this is something that I'd like to bring up. If anyone, there's 278 people here now. Anyone who's been to Chicago in the winter, if you're downtown and you're driving, you're going to get diverted in the winter because what happens when the snow falls and the ice forms on the tar when on the pavement of the streets, we have potholes that rival the moon. They're huge. They swallow up cars. Okay, well, this has been going on since the automobile, 100 years. And do you know what? We have a union here. We have unions, we have trade unions of all kinds of construction workers. They're called the pothole fillers. And they were formed in the 30s. And you know what? They got presented with a proposal for an asphalt. This was in the 70s for an asphalt that resisted forming potholes. And it was going to solve that problem. Unfortunately, they didn't put it up as a referendum to the whole electorate in Cook County, Chicago. They left it up to the members of the Pothole Fillers Union. And guess what they said? Do you approve of this? Can we like start using this to repair potholes? And guess how many thumbs up and thumbs down there were? They didn't want it. Why didn't they want it, Simon? Why did they not want an asphalt that resisted potholes?
Because they
Right?
didn't
They'd
want
be out of a
to. They wanted to have lifelong retention value of their services.
I liken it to a clergyman, a minister who becomes an atheist. What's he going to preach about on Sunday? This is all he knows how to do. Okay. So I made that whole story up to illustrate it's not true. It's total BS. Okay. But I do it to illustrate a point. Dentistry makes a living at fixing a completely preventable disease. I'm also a nutritionist. I have a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics. And my research was focused on tooth decay and obesity back in the 70s, back when those things weren't even connected. Okay. And then I am really pursuing postdoc work in anthropology. Tooth decay was not a problem throughout human history. We've gone 300,000 years with no cavities. And malocclusion, only 400 years old. So we go 300,000 years with no cavities and no malocclusion. We've got an industry, Simon, and you and I are pissing people off. Who wants to do what they do? You can't make a living at it. And I don't know how to do anything else. Nonsense. You can make a great living and do a great service to mankind by diet counseling, ultra processed food. It's not sugar, it's ultra processed food that promotes gum disease, what I call plaque mediated disease, and tooth decay. And the texture, the softness of ultra processed food is what's giving us these myofunctional disorders and malocclusion. Period. Who wants to do that? Well, that's all I do now in Chicago. And I'm busy as hell. And I got people coming in from all over the world. It's got to be more than me. I need more people doing this. And you, Simon, oh my God, you're producing the research. What you and Bouchang did is amazing. It's a great study that you did. People need to know about it. So anyway, I'll refrain here.
I think one of the things that we should consider is obviously we're going to continue this conversation well into the June program in more detail. So right now we're just chit-chatting about what we're going to talk about in the upcoming event. But perhaps we can open
Hi,
the
Simon.
forum back to
Yeah,
Kian,
there's some
who can tell
questions
us.
that have come in. So let's just answer some
Yeah.
questions, 5 or 10 minutes, and then we can talk a bit about upcoming events.